Hello everyone and welcome to the Vanguard Uplink podcast. I am your host, CCP Gortz. Joining me is the game director of EVE Vanguard, CCP Collins.
Hello.
Hello. He's so quiet. Today's episode, we are answering more of your questions that have come in since our last Road to Alpha broadcast. You sent us a lot of questions, mainly about the art that we've been teasing on social media. So we'll be talking about the new map that you guys have been building, the baddies, and that Upwell. What are they up to?
Oh, Upwell.
I thought you were going to break into song there.
No, I could have, but I won't.
But he won't. Anyway, if you want the latest and greatest from EVE Vanguard, I'm trusting that you're already subscribed to this channel. If not, do click subscribe. But yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so we have put a lot of concept art by very talented concept artists out on social. Let's talk about the new map, because the audience at home, they saw over the shoulders of the team as well as a bit of whiteboard. So can you tell us what's different about this map compared to what players have already played?
Yeah, this map is very different. Okay. So we are building... So this site, the narrative behind it is this is an Upwell site. You are basically infiltrating this site because there are goodies here. A ship has crashed, and as always, as they do, Upwell are scavenging the wreckage, and they are, whilst they're here, extracting lots of raw materials from the planet and getting them off world. The kind of the main focal point of the map is a huge command tower that is kind of the center of all of the Upwell infrastructure. RDVs coming in and out. You'll be seeing these towers. I think you would have seen it in the concept art. These kind of towers that exist over certain areas of the map where raw materials and are being brought out, and you'll be seeing containers floating through the sky, moving from point to point. They'll be going to a treatment facility where they're treated, and you as a player are infiltrating this space. But there's a lot of different areas for you to go to kind of find rare loot, to take on challenges, and to meet, either to fight or collaborate with lots of other players. So we really wanted to take a different approach to how we built this map, moving away from it being a bit like kind of a very open sandbox. We wanted to have clear defined areas that had more kind of gameplay to them. So we're actually what we call POIs, points of interest, making much more clearly defined points of interest on the map. So there's a walled barracks, there's a treatment facility building, there's the command tower that has multiple levels, there's ship wreckage, which you'd be used to playing on some of the other maps, because there was a lot of ship wreckage, less ship wreckage in this one, but there's still there some ship wreckage. There's like a sorting facility, there's a mining operation, like all of these things, having them much more clearly defined. So when you get in and you look at the map, and the map is defining these areas for you and labeling them out, like, over here is the command tower, over here is the barracks. Some are hard to take on, some are medium, some are more easier. We're actually kind of color coding them as well. We're saying that this is a hard POI, go here at your own risk. This is an easy POI, so you're likely to get low tier loot, but you're not going to find much of a challenge there. So
one of the things I've been digging up.
Ooh, yeah. Pun intended. Oh,
that is good. Yeah, that kind of works.
Yeah.
So Upwell,
yes,
it's safe to say not the greatest environmental record.
Oh, no.
They seem to be making a right mess.
Yeah, they don't really give a crap about the environment, and even destabilizing populations, local populations, just to get what they want. If somebody or something is in the way of what they want, they just build around it, and they just build through it. So the environment itself, you're going to see a lot of scarring. It is a kind of a rocky, volcanic-like terrain, and they've just built this giant command tower, built these treatment facilities just into the landscape. Pollution, deforestation, whatever stands in their way, they don't give a damn.
I thought that was quite interesting, like in terms of like player lore, like especially EVE player lore, because a lot of people are, as capsuleers, like recruiting Upwell to do that dirty work for them and don't really give a thought to the damage that's been sown down on the bottom. But now you've got like all these EVE factions like Mordu's Legion have been employed to protect Upwell and are literally in bed with them and just...
Yeah. The Mordu's Legion are basically the muscle that's been hired to protect these assets now that the Vanguard are starting to kind of mess with the operations. And so, yeah, Upwell's really interesting because I think like there's the forward-facing, almost customer-facing side of Upwell and the work that they've been doing and the work that they do across the universe. And some of it is, even on the surface is still a bit nefarious. But like behind the scenes, like the engine of the operation is this, it's like what we talked about, right? It's the deforestation.
Yeah.
It's that, terraforming and breaking down environments on an industrial scale and just taking over.
I think it's going to be exciting especially for EVE players to become like face to face and up close with these factions.
And the branding. The big command tower has the Upwell in large text.
They're letting you know.
These things floating in the sky as well are all Upwell branded. The buildings that you'll be entering, and you'll get a look as to actually what Upwell architecture is like. How do they construct their buildings? What do their interiors look like?
So we've had a number of other questions about this upcoming alpha and beyond. Yeah. So one of the things that was picked up recently is our Steam pages rebranded. Yep. So we touched on this on the Road to Alpha episode. Do watch that if you haven't already. That we're rebranding as Extraction Adventure. Mm-hmm. What does Extraction Adventure mean to you?
Yeah, it's always been at the soul of the game. The extraction. The extraction piece of the game has never gone away. It's always been there. We've been building prototypes around it and building different modes, but always at the core of this was that extraction mode, was getting down to the surface, getting what you need, and trying to get out alive, and dying on the surface without reclones. If you're prudent enough, you'll have a reclone so you can come back. But if you don't have any reclones and you die on the surface, you lose your stuff. That's always been a core of the game back from when we announced it at FanFest in 2023. Wow. So it's been a part there. I think it's just during pre-alpha, we experimented with a lot of things in and around it. And we talked about it in the Road to Alpha. Alpha for us was always about, going back to the core of the game and making something that feels far more grounded, polished, and finished around that. And it was that extraction mode and the fact of extracting was always a part of it. So, but just calling it an extraction shooter felt it didn't feel right, because I think you draw a lot of comparisons to games that are very hardcore in nature. And whilst we want this game to have a hard edge to it, like EVE Online and the kind of the universe of New Eden does, we still wanted this to feel like it was a shooter for people who don't want a overly hardcore experience. And extraction adventure was a term that was it had been used in some other games, and it just felt quite right, leaning into areas of exploration and teamwork in not something that just felt like a kill all slaughterhouse. We want this game to be rich in collaboration, players working together. We talked in the previous podcast about like teams wanting to take on bosses and working together. So calling it an extraction adventure, which some other games have been using, felt more apt, because we do want people to play together. We don't want it to be a completely like, oh my God, this game is impossible to just learn or play because I'm just getting shot in the head immediately every time I spawn. And there might be some parts of the game that have that hard edge to it, but we didn't want to market this game or brand it or kind of start on the footing of this is a hardcore game, only hardcore players are allowed, and calling it an extraction shooter can sometimes put you in that camp.
So let's travel forward a bit, if we may. So we are going to go into a Steam alpha, as we've talked about. What does a successful alpha look like to you?
Yeah, I think so it's the response that we get from people. I think when this alpha, I won't speak, there's not like a general, all alphas need to achieve one goal, but the alpha for us, and it's about putting a clear marker down that we are taking the next step, that we experimented a lot during pre-alpha. We did something that, you know, over the course of that pre-alpha period, a lot of projects I worked on, a lot of projects that a lot of people worked on, a lot of games I know that release, they don't go through these stages of experimenting and finding that fun with the players and getting a lot of feedback and doing a lot of technical testing to ensure that we can make a game that is performant, that can run on as many machines as possible. You know, something in Unreal 5, it's, you know, there's a tightrope to walk there, and making a game that looks and feels great, but can also work as well. So I think for us, the alpha first and foremost was about doing it's a moment, it's a sea change, in that we're taking a lot of the learnings from pre-alpha and we're squishing them down into something that just feels good to play. So first and foremost, a successful alpha for me for me, is the response that we get from people is like, yes, I can see it now. Before, a lot of people were like, I can kind of see where you're going. Like, you know, you talk about the vision of this game and we're not really there yet. In alpha, it's just like, oh, okay, I can see what the core of this game is now. It feels good to play, and I would play more of this. You know, we're not delivering a game in alpha that, right, you can play this for 3 months. We've got all of this content. It's going to be, you know, a small experience with one map, you know, a couple of guns, a few different enemy types to fight. But we want that experience, going down to the map, going to those POIs, discovering them, clearing them out, completing activities, unlocking doors, you know, hunting for key cards and killing enemies, you know, fighting off bosses, and getting the loot that you need that feels more meaningful, and then getting out the surface without dying and extracting, worrying about if other people are going to kill you on your way out. Those are the things that we've had a little bit of that, but we're building an experience that's really amplifying that kind of experience. And, you know, I can talk about this for hours, I'm sure you can gather at this point, but I would love a success for us is people playing this and going, you know what, this is really fun. This feels like an EVE game. This feels like an EVE shooter, and I want more of this.
Very well said. So, traveling yet further into the future.
Yes.
Don't mess with the timelines.
No, okay, I won't.
Never do that. Never talk to your future self. What does EVE Vanguard look like a year from now?
Oh, yeah. Great question. A year from now, EVE is live 24/7. Whether that's in some form of closed beta or it's early access, you know, we'll figure that out once we get through alpha, and we can really analyze what we want to do next. A year from now, we're in a live environment where people are able to play this game, and we've got a sense of, like, the core of the game. We've solved it. We've got it there. Everyone came out of alpha and was like, this feels great, I just want more of this, and we build more of it. But we also have a strong, impactful and meaningful connection to EVE Online. We've experimented with little temporary things here and there because we've only been running playtests, so it's not ever going to be a permanent connection. We've been trialing more territorial style connections with Insurgency, more kind of economic ones with the convoys that we were triggering in Operation Nemesis. But for in a year's time, we have that sense of a impactful connection to EVE that I think, and what we want it to do, is to lean into what this is all about. It's about war, right? There's a war in space and there's a war on the ground, and it's about that. And I think you know, maybe hopefully over the course of this year, we'll be talking a lot more details about what that's going to be. You know, stay tuned for FanFest maybe in May. But yeah, it is live. It is in the universe. It doesn't feel like a naughty little brother that's hiding in the corner. It is a part of the universe. And we're at that point now where we're just adding meaningful content to the game that people want to consume. It's more weapons. It's suits, plural. It's lots of different enemy types. We start working back in some of the modes that we prototyped out in pre-alpha around, you know, more PvP focused experiences, maybe more PvE focused experiences, and that the progression feels good. All of these games live and die by the sense of progression, building towards something, building in power and infamy, and community. So yeah.
A lot to look forward to.
Yeah, a lot to look forward to, and a lot of ambition still there. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I think that's going to do us for today. We are out of time for this recording. If you want to hear the latest and greatest coming out of EVE Vanguard, be sure to subscribe. Go back and watch our previous ones. It's very good.
Yeah.
Especially the one about the road to alpha. That lets you know where we're going for at the moment. We will be back with you as soon as we can, answering more of your questions. Until then, CCP Collins, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, viewer.
Bye-bye.
See you next time. Ta-ra.